Thank you for tuning in to the Peoplz and Dragons. If you enjoy the content we provide, then subscribe, like, and maybe join in on the action at www.pndrpg.com. Haven City, an ugly city. Episode 5, The Ichormancer. McVay, a sole surviving acolyte of the renowned and powerful cult rivaling even that of the Servi Dei in terms of establishment. The pioneers have always acknowledged the Servi Dei, and the respect was mutual between the two factions. When Hope agents attempted to exterminate the pioneers once and for all, many of its survivors were able to flee underground, allying themselves with various subsets of the Servi Dei for the purpose of survival and vengeance. McVay is very knowledgeable of what Emerald Prophecy entails and has been watching it unfold as planned. McVay knows where the true power in the world lies and who it lies with, and is even more convinced when one of the Servi Dei's top generals, Rasmussen of the Emerald Light, enters the cavern from behind the massive Ichormancer machine. A man no taller than 5 foot, fully fitted in Servi Dei regalia and a helmet with dozens of protruding tentacles that extend down to his back. His beard just as long. McVay has seen this man's work and dedication to the Green Gods, and for this they have bestowed upon him the deepest and darkest knowledge of Takena, a dark magic used to sabotage the soul, making him the most corrupt and dangerous general in the Servi Dei's ranks. McVay knows that if he doesn't reveal himself to Rasmussen now, he will be mistakenly associated with Six and Ivan's futile incoming ambush. Rasmussen stands before his brotherhood surrounded by burning fire pits lighting the area around the cavern within. These are the last days, and we have been successful in producing the finest of specimens. And shortly when the Green Gods arrive, they will be satisfied with our work, finally. Just as they begin to chant, McVay phases through the steps before Rasmussen in his ethereal form, triggering Rasmussen's personal guard to draw their Takena soul knives. Rasmussen, as well as a majority of the Servi Dei cultists, immediately recognize the ethereal form in McVay. Rasmussen tells his guards to stand down as McVay bows to Rasmussen. He addresses Rasmussen with the utmost respect and pledges his continued loyalty to the Servi Dei. Rasmussen, I come to warn you of an incoming attack on the Ichormancer. Turns and points across the cavern where Six and Ivan are. Rasmussen and his army of cultists look over in the direction and sees no one. Irritated, Rasmussen asks the meaning of this disruption, when suddenly, fading into existence in midair before him, Ivan Bakara flies toward Rasmussen with his spiked chain extended, cutting clear through Rasmussen's neck, decapitating him entirely. Several ninja thralls surrounding Ivan in formation also appear and plunge their katanas into Rasmussen's body in sync. However, surprisingly, a headless, yet still functional Rasmussen grabs one of the blades placed in him and releases a dark energy into it that completely melts the undead thrall into a puddle of mush. Then, with immense strength, spins all the ninjas around while trying to hold on to their blades, launching them off of him. Ivan takes a step back with several shurikens in each hand and throws them in both directions to his left and right as portals into the abyssal realm appear to swallow them, then causing them to reappear over Rasmussen's head heading straight towards him, but Rasmussen redirects them with the wave of his hand back toward Ivan, who then fades away and out of sight. We see the cultists being butchered by the ghostly mirages of quick and nimble undead ninjas slashing, stabbing, and lopping off body parts of the unsuspecting cultists. McVay rises to his feet during the sudden attack and turns around and ends up facing the terrifying machine that is the Dread King. Its floating, disembodied android arms wielding razor-sharp katanas, dicing up surrounding cultists like a helicopter propeller. The Dread King sets its glowing blue eyes onto McVay and hurls its shield into him, but the shield goes right through him as he assumes his ethereal state and re-emerges on the other side of him. Beams of dark energy rain upon the Dread King, forcing it to hold its shield up, and it begins to retaliate by blasting a wave of paranormal force, sending large groups of cultists flying into the air. We see a cultist backing up from an oncoming undead roaring dragon ninja when suddenly a katana gets plunged into the cultist's spine from the back, as another ninja comes across his stomach, opening him up, then slashed vertically, splitting him from chest to nose. McVay begins to dip and dodge incoming ninja blades, frequently needing to go into his ethereal form to avoid death blows. He then summons the tattoo of a whip on his exposed arm, causing it to manifest into a tangible object, the Pioneer's Whip, a torturing tool used by the Pioneers. Whips it toward an oncoming ninja, shattering their bodies into pieces as the force hits them like a train. He then wraps it around the Dread King's floating shield and pulls it, forcing it to take out an entire cluster of ninja. Suddenly, McVay's arm locks up and begins becoming discolored, taking on a green tint and demonic aberrant appearance while growling at him. K's whip retracts and begins wrapping around his own arm against his own will, constricting him painfully. McVay turns and sees Six, standing off into the distance with glowing golden eyes set on McVay. Six pulls out a card, looks at it and smiles as a giant 12-foot demon snake woman manifests beside him with an exceptionally large crossbow, loads it with a bolt covered in bloody snake scales, and aims it directly at K as he struggles over control of his arm. Six then pulls another card, summoning a pit of hell sand under K's feet, causing him to sink as a strange mob of disfigured and moaning men and women rise from below, grabbing onto his legs, holding him in place. Six commands the snake archer to fire, and she does, sending a bolt flying at lightning speed, causing a gust of wind in his path, blowing everyone to the side as the bolt pierces right through the Dread Knight's hard android shell, stunning it as it is pulled down into the depths of a never-ending hell sand, swallowed whole. Six, confused, squints his eyes, not understanding what happened, when he realizes it was some sort of illusion created by K's Pioneer's Link, a natural ability allowing him to use the ethereal realm to manipulate reality itself. Suddenly, K's Pioneer's Whip wraps around both of Six's wrists. K then yanks, using his masterful handling of the whip that rips Six's arms nearly off of his shoulders, dislocating both, tearing muscle, ligaments, and tendons, leaving him screaming in agonizing pain and dropping all of his cards to the ground. K then buster swings Six, sending him crashing into a giant Servi Dei statue. We see Ivan dipping and dodging zaps and beams of Takena magic from immediate hostile threats, including Rasmussen, whose advanced and unpredictable Takena magic deters Ivan from getting his hands on and manipulating the Ichormancer as planned. Ivan calls several ninjas in front of him, buying him time to survey the field and look for Six and the Dread King. He can't find the Dread King in the sea of combat, but sees an unconscious Six being dragged across the cavern floor by McVay towards him. Rasmussen's disembodied head begins to utter blood-curdling words. "You are on the wrong side of history, Ivan." Another large army of cultists appear, stepping through dimensional gateways and begin to overwhelm the undead ninja with crowd control spells. Rasmussen raises his arms as black lettering wraps around his flesh as 15 giant spirit tentacles burst from the inside of the ground, causing the entire cavern to rumble. Ivan identifies that they are losing too much ground and is not risking his life for anyone, so he commands all of his ninja to appear around him as he summons a giant black hole leading into the abyssal realm that begins pulling the entire Ichormancer into the great void, a feat he is achieving by absorbing the life forces of all the dead around him and from inside of the Ichormancer itself. To buy time, more time, Ivan allows the souls of the fallen to animate the giant Servi Dei gargoyle statues surrounding the altar, who then begin to attack and throw around the oncoming army of cultists. With the Ichormancer falling halfway into the abyssal realm, with Ivan focusing on pulling it, Hunter Galsiv seizes as an opportunity and runs toward his superior, Rasmussen, to save him. But not before being noticed by Ivan, who pulls back on his chain and shouts in a more progressively demonic tone,
"You didn't think you could just get out of your little agreement by running on out of here. I got you to where you was going. Now it's time for you to make good on your end."
Ivan's eyes glow with radiant intensity as Hunter's emerald soul is drawn through his chain leash and absorbed by Ivan like some sort of conduit until nothing remains but a withered husk of a body. The chain then releases from the neck of the empty shell that was once Hunter Galsiv as it had a will of its own and retracts and coils back around Ivan's forearm. Just before the entire Ichormancer is pulled into the abyss, the almighty Servi Dei General Rasmussen sends his tentacles into the abyss, wrapping around the machine and begins pulling it back out. Rasmussen appears directly in front of Ivan with a two-handed blade made of Takana darkness and begins swinging it at Ivan as they both begin fighting on top of the Ichormancer caught between the abyssal realm and the real world. Ivan, unable to teleport out of the abyssal realm without forfeiting his pull and possession of the Ichormancer, is forced to rely on his nimble ninja prowess and modified ninjutsu to avoid Rasmussen's proficient use of his Takana blade. Catching Ivan off guard, Rasmussen causes a Takana explosion under Ivan's feet, sending him flying up into the air as a Takana tentacle captures him mid-air and begins to constrict him while pulling him back into the real world, when suddenly an undead Majin Zaidi and Pargygas appear and slice the tentacle down and begin to attack Rasmussen, buying Ivan time. Ivan is forced to let go of the Ichormancer as the Takana tentacle's unyielding strength continues to pull it back into the real world successfully. Ivan, along with remnants of his undead army, float back into the abyss, closing the void behind them. We cut to Rasmussen, with his head reattached, standing before his brood, along with McVay and a bound and incapacitated Six. "You've proven your loyalty to the Servi Dei, McVay. I will see it to it that the green gods hear of your achievements." K bows, and he is handed a green Servi Dei mantle. "You will serve as my personal guard from this day forth." McVay expresses his gratitude and knows he made the right decision, as Emerald Prophecy is inevitable. Thanks for watching Peoplz and Dragons, the interactive RPG game show. I encourage everyone to jump into our comment section to participate in the lore contests, as well as visit our Patreon page to learn what perks come with your support for our machine. Peace.